Come on, Roger. What did I do to my uncle to deserve you? You don't get to choose what you inherit, just like colon cancer. Unlike Roger here, I believe in science. And science says that if colon cancer runs in your family, you're more likely to develop it yourself. Talk to your doctor about when you should start screening. Find out more at coloncancercoalition.org. A message from the Colon Cancer Coalition.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score!
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The ACC is one of the premier basketball conferences in the country, and we've got to hold up our end of the bargain. I mean, NC State, in my opinion, is one of the major brands in this league, and for ACC basketball to be good, NC State basketball needs to be good, and that's what we're going to do. And I think the better we are, the better the league will be. And like I said, I know we've got. I know we've got some bully neighbors and that sort of thing, but we're not worried about them. If we worry about ourselves, all that other stuff will take care of itself.
It is the Adam Gold Show. How you doing, everybody? I'm Adam. That's Victoria.
We're here. Chip Patterson Wednesday.
It is a Chip Patterson Wednesday.
Hope dude.
Dennis walked in earlier today, our friend Dennis Cox, who works with Tim Donnelly and also does a ton of other things around here. He walked in and he had to ask me a question. I thought he was setting up to produce for you because it's Wednesday.
Yeah. No,
right?
But
it's next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Mm-hmm.
I had my Wednesdays confused.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I am.
I didn't realize you were at the hockey game last night.
I was.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
So
bebopping around.
They could have. Were you upstairs with everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't stop and you didn't even knock on the door.
I know you were busy.
Well, I mean, I'm always busy,
focused.
but that doesn't mean you shouldn't knock on the door. Like I honestly didn't know you were there. Canes couldn't score last night. No, one goal. Should have been 5.
I know.
I mean, so many opportunities to score. End up losing a game. Pyotr Kachikov didn't play great, and Hurricanes had some finishing issues. But anyway, move on. Just keep going. 11 games now remain in the regular season for Carolina. They're still in great shape to finish second in the Metropolitan Division, and they get back on it on Friday against Montreal. Montreal, Friday. The Islanders on Sunday. Washington and Alexander Ovechkin come in Wednesday.
That will be tough.
Oh, yeah. They
could keep up, but they will definitely. It'll be tough.
I think it's weird. Washington's going to end up being the best team in the East. They lost, I think, in overtime last night to Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. Winnipeg clinched a playoff spot last night, and Winnipeg is now, I think, 1 point behind Washington for the President's Trophy. Washington has 103. I think Winnipeg has 102. But I look at both of those teams and I go, yeah, they're good. I don't think either team is great.
No.
And I'm not scared of Washington in the playoffs at all. Not even the least. I'm not saying that Carolina's going to breeze. No. I don't look at them like I look at Florida, like I look at Tampa in the East.
Playoff Tampa. Woof.
I think those are the two best teams in the East. I think Carolina can handle the other 5 potential playoff teams, which includes Washington. That doesn't mean Carolina's even going to win a series, but to me, I think Carolina is as good or better than the others. I don't think they're as good or better than Florida and Tampa. Part of it starts in goal because Florida and Tampa have next-level goaltending with Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky. I'm not sure the other teams can say that. I'm not sure. The other teams can't say that, including the Hurricanes. I'm not even worried about the West because who cares? If you play somebody in the West, it just means that you're in the Stanley Cup Finals.
All right.
And I don't care who you play in the
Yeah.
Stanley Cup Finals if you're there. So, I am not concerned about this the Hurricanes. I expect will win the next 3 home games.
Yeah.
I do. I think they will. And maybe by the end of this homestand, they will have clinched, well, certainly a playoff spot, but maybe they will have clinched or gone as far as you can to clinching the number 2 spot in the Metro. Home ice advantage in the first round. I know I've seen people go, well, it's not that important. I think it is.
It kind of is.
I think starting the first round at home is important. You could always acquire home ice at some point during the playoffs. Like if Washington were to lose to wild card 2, because Washington's going to end up being the top seed in the East. Depending on who wild card 2 is, could be Montreal. Heck, could be the Rangers still, even though I think it's a little bit of a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the Hurricanes could end up with the home ice advantage in the second round of the playoffs,
That'd
even,
be nice.
because Washington could get beat in the first round. But really the story for Washington is all about the pursuit for Alexander Ovechkin of the all-time goal-scoring record. He is now 6
Okay.
from having it on his own.
Yeah.
He scored last night in Winnipeg, and he, whatever the number is, he is 6 away from passing, not tying, 6 away from passing Wayne Gretzky.
Wow.
Probably won't happen here next week, a week from today, but maybe by the next time, because Carolina's got 2 games left with Washington, maybe by the next time the Hurricanes and the Capitals play, he'll be on the precipice of it.
Very likely.
Although, I mean, I think there are 3 games before they come to Raleigh on Wednesday.
Yeah, he could get it then.
I mean, but maybe he scores 4 goals between now and then, in which case, okay.
Yeah.
We'll be on alert, and that means that maybe that Wayne Gretzky will be in the house. I think the NHL is going to travel Gretzky to be at these games,
The
which
goat.
you should.
Yeah.
You should. So,
Oh, absolutely.
all right, we ready? Let's play. All right, real quick, I just want to start with, we heard Will Wade in the open.
Yeah.
And then I smartly started talking about the Hurricanes. All the stuff that Will Wade said there was true. It's not, and by the way, it's not specific to NC State. But in a conference like the Atlantic Coast Conference, you have, and you could say this about any of the major conferences, you have schools that are football schools, and there are schools that are basketball schools, and I'm talking about your history, your culture. And I know how you love everything at NC State. Heck, I'd argue it's a wrestling school.
Yeah. Baseball school.
Baseball, but seriously, they just wanted to, they've had so many national championship wrestlers, and I believe have won a wrestling title. But the history of State is basketball. And so when Will Wade says the ACC is better when NC State is good in basketball, he's right. And I have said for a long time that in order for a conference to be good and appear good are 2 different things. Because if Duke and Carolina in basketball are down, I don't care how many other good teams the league has, the perception will be, well, it's just not that good. Now, this year, Duke is a total outlier to the rest of the league. It's like Duke's playing in a different league than the rest of the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Big time.
But if Carolina were better, I know they made the NCAA tournament, but we all understand that they weren't that good. If your basketball schools are good, your league will appear better, even if it isn't. The same thing in football. For years and years and years, we propped up the Big Ten because Ohio State and Michigan were really good and the rest of the league was at best mediocre, but didn't matter. Huge stadiums, lots of fans, mediocre to bad football, good records because they didn't play anybody outside the league, and you always had a team in the mix because it was Ohio State or Michigan. Yeah, I get it. Every once in a while, a Michigan State showed up out of nowhere. Penn State's usually good too. But for the most part, that league has played middling football. But it didn't matter because your stars were your stars. And that's what the ACC needs to figure out. How do we get, and it's not about the league doing this, by the way, it's the schools. So State needs to be good in basketball. And if State is good in basketball, league's going to look better. I would argue that this conference needs Syracuse to be good in basketball. No offense to you, Miami. We don't need you at all. You are added value. But the league needs Syracuse. And the league needs State. And the league needs Louisville. And the league needs Carolina and Duke. Wake. I would argue the league needs Georgia Tech to be better. So I have some thoughts on scheduling that maybe we'll get to later on, but I just wanted to kind of expand upon Will Wade's thought because I think it's true that the ACC needs NC State to be good. I don't think they need NC State to be great, but they need the Wolfpack to be a consistent NCAA tournament team. I do believe Will Wade will restore that to the Wolfpack. We're going to get into Cinderella a little bit today. I just want to, do we have the Stephen A. Smith clip? All right. We played Jay Williams' clip yesterday, which was much more measured. This is from First Take, and I just want you to have in your brain, it's Stephen A. waxing the end of the NCAA of college basketball. Seth Greenberg is on screen. He will say nothing. Shannon Sharp is on screen. He will also say nothing. Here's Stephen A.
If this continues, it will be the death of college basketball. Because college basketball, listen to what I'm saying, Coach. This has no effect on the allure of college basketball during the season. But March Madness, the madness of March, owns sports for that 4 to 5 week period beginning somewhere in March through the early part of April. Owns sports. NFL season is done. The draft is approaching but hasn't arrived yet. The NBA playoffs are approaching but hasn't arrived yet. Baseball season is just getting underway. Other than opening day, you ain't really thinking about it. March Madness, the NCAA tournament is where it's at. What I'm talking about when I allude to such a drastic, hyperbolic statement, albeit in some people's eyes, is I'm talking about the NCAA tournament. No matter what's going on during the college basketball season, if you're in Durham, you're looking at Duke in North Carolina, you're in Raleigh, you're looking at NC State, you're down and you're in the Pac-12, you're looking at Stanford, you're looking at UCLA, USC, people like that, not them anymore, not in that conference, but you hear what I'm saying. My point, Michigan and Ohio State, Big Ten, all of this other stuff. But the NCAA tournament is where it's at. And what is the appeal? What is the allure? Anybody has a chance.
All right, let me just stop it here because of Cinderella. Okay. I do appreciate him correcting himself when he started going to the Pac-12, which doesn't exist. Well, it will exist in some form next year, but it's not going to be the same. So, the misconception for people, Cinderella is dead. Cinderella has built the NCAA tournament to an extent. I went back and looked over this season, going back 10 more years, 9 tournaments. First of all, how do we define what Cinderella is? Now, we all agree NC State was a Cinderella story last year in that they went to the Final Four. Because it came out of nowhere, and they were never going to be an NCAA tournament team until what happened at the ACC tournament. And then they just, whatever. It just, all the planets got in a row, and here was where we are. But really, Cinderella is 2 things. One, it is a smaller conference school. It is a school from traditionally a 1-bid league. Like this year's ACC. Kidding. But it's a smaller conference school. It's a St. Peter's. And it is also a double-digit seed from that smaller conference school. So let me just ask this question. How many over the last 9 tournaments, not including this one, and we have no Cinderellas, there's one double-digit school in the Sweet 16, and it's Arkansas, with a whole bunch of 4-star talent and a Hall of Fame coach. That ain't Cinderella. How many Cinderellas won a game, a single game, in the NCAA tournament combined in the last 9 years? I know the answer, and the answer is 34. So that's a little bit less than 4 per year, which is actually a very good number, a healthy number. Now, we had very few of those this year. You had Colorado State as a 12 win a game. You had McNeese State as a 12 win a game. You had Drake as an 11 win a game. We're basically on par. 3, not that different from 4. I think that's the number. In terms of double-digit seeds from smaller conferences that won a game. But remember, Cinderella's dead. Now, take it one step further, because people were lamenting the fact that we didn't have any of these teams make the Sweet 16. Oh, what is the NCAA tournament without Cinderella in the second week? Meanwhile, nobody really wants that, except for those schools. Because the first week is the first week. That's the fun. That's the goofy week. That's the week where Victoria wins the office pool. No offense. I don't mean any offense by that, right? But that's the week where you win the office pool. And then we get to the second week, and now we're crowning a national champion. I want the best teams possible to be in the final 16, and now we're going to go about the business of crowning a national champion. So over the last 9 years, how many of those teams that won first-round games, 34, how many of those teams won and reached the Sweet 16?
None.
3.
Oh, wow.
In 9 years. So Cinderella's dead now? Are we crazy?
Yes.
Right? Some of those teams did make the Final Four. Loyola made the Final Four. I'm just talking about the last 9 years. There was a time where Butler was a Cinderella. There was a time where Gonzaga was the Cinderella. We wouldn't call Gonzaga a Cinderella now. And Butler's in a major basketball conference now, so we wouldn't call them a Cinderella now. But literally, the teams that advanced to the second round since 2015 are these. Loyola, in 2018, they made the Final Four. Oral Roberts, in 2021, as a 15 seed, made the second week. And St. Peter's, in 2022, made the Elite Eight as a 15 seed. We're done. That's the list of small conference, double-digit seeded teams. But here's what I would allow. It does feel different now. So we don't know. I'm not going to definitively say that the game has completely changed. We'll never have Cinderella again. Because it does feel different now. The dynamics are different now. We're going to talk to Matt Brown of Extra Points about this in our third hour. I think it's a fascinating discussion. I think we are way too influenced in our opinions by what has happened 3 days ago. We are way too locked in over 7 SEC teams in the Sweet 16, 4 from the Big 12, 4 from the Big 10, and the outlier, Duke, from the one-bid league of the ACC. Way too influenced by the we call it recency bias. All right. Let me move on. The Giants signed Russell Wilson. Contract could be worth as much as $21 million. It's like $11 million guaranteed. We're going to talk to Will Brinson about this in about 10 minutes. They just signed Jameis Winston. What are we doing? What are the Giants doing?
They're such a mess.
Like, if I were the Giants, here's what I would have done. I would have signed Jameis Winston and been done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Give me another whatever backup. Let Jameis Winston play. Probably draft a quarterback with the 3rd overall pick if I were the Giants, and just tried to hit on the right quarterback. Cam Ward's probably going to go 1. Unless you totally dislike Shedeur Sanders, I don't get 2 guys who clearly couldn't be less alike.
Right.
In Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Gosh. I don't get bringing these 2 guys in. Like,
how is that dynamic
who's
gonna
even
go?
Like? Do you think there's anybody that could tell you who's better, Winston or Wilson? I actually think I would rather have Jameis Winston.
We are going to get so many great quotes though next season.
I don't even know.
Because you've got high knee Russell Wilson over here, and then you've got praying for no more pick sixes on the other side. I am so excited for this.
I forgot. I forgot both of those things. I legit forgot both of those things.
Who needs Aaron Rodgers? Let's go Giants.
So good.
Oh man.
But okay, so now, and I wanted to tweet this out, but I was at the hockey game and I was distracted.
Yeah.
If you're Aaron Rodgers, has the music stopped?
Ooh.
There's 1 chair left.
Yeah.
It's only Pittsburgh. Unless Minnesota wants to get re-engaged, because I really do believe that Rodgers is waiting for Minnesota to go, yeah, we're not entirely sure about J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
I kind of think that that's where Rodgers is. Because I'm telling you, he's not good enough to make Pittsburgh's offense a thing.
We need him to go to the Vikings so he can really complete the Brett Favre,
my gosh, it would be phenomenal. It would be absolutely phenomenal.
That would be so great.
Just don't get involved in kind of trying to fund a volleyball arena for your junior college in Idaho.
Yes.
Wherever his junior college was.
Let's not.
But my gosh, Rodgers clearly, the Steelers are a last resort to him for 2 reasons. I realize he was just with the Jets. And that's because you're in New York. That's high profile enough, on top of the fact that I do believe 38% of national media members are Jets fans.
Yes.
I can't figure. I thought you guys were all smarter than that. I really did. Bless you, Mike Greenberg. But the Steelers are so high profile that, and the standard, you can get away with being mediocre for the Jets because the Jets don't have a standard. Mm-hmm. Nothing. In fact, the phrase, the standard is the standard, is Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
He's the first person I ever saw or heard say that and mean it we have a standard that we play to, that we adhere to all the time.
I can't see those 2 jihading. I can't.
I can't. For the life of me, I don't understand why. The Steelers don't have many options either, or any options.
No.
Okay, I'm just saying it's not going to be. It's just not going to be good. All right, one more thing, and then we'll break, and I'll be very quick here. We'll talk about the Canes a little bit later on. Also, when we get to one-timers, we know we're on YouTube, youtube.com/AdamGoldShow or /999TheFan. Either way, you can ask your questions about anything. Just slide them into the chat box, and Victoria will ask those questions later on. So, last night, it's pretty simple what happened between the Hurricanes and the Nashville Predators. Hurricanes had one of those games where they just don't score. Because they could have had 6 goals last night.
Big time.
The first 2 periods were absolute domination, and they got 1 goal out of it. At least it was a power play goal. 3 power play goals in the last 5. Taylor Hall has also scored Carolina's last 4 goals.
Love him.
Yeah. I mean, sign the contract already, because I do believe it keeps getting more expensive.
Yes.
He's been very good. And I thought, even on the power play when he scored the goal, he actually gave the puck away in the sequence prior to Carolina getting back in transition, which is how they scored the goal. It was a non-traditional power play goal. But it was just one of those games where they just didn't score. They had so many opportunities. Jack Roslovic, Eric Robinson, each had backdoor tap-ins that Roslovic deflected it wide. I still don't know how you missed the net from where he was, but he did.
Oh, yeah.
And Robinson essentially whiffed on a pass from Aho. But other than that, Logan Stankoven had two chances from, 2 feet in front of the net and didn't score either one. Jarvis, Blake, Aho, they all had chances. It was a game where Carolina should have scored 6 or 7. They got 1, and Pyotr Kochetkov allowed a bad goal, and it just sort of set him back. And then I think you're trying to kind of gripping just to get a goal, and Carolina's offense suffered. All right, we got a break. Will Brinson is going to join us when we come back. Maybe he can make sense of Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston to the Giants. Also, the New England Patriots decided that they wanted the 50th best wide receiver in the NFL and wanted to pay him almost $25 million a year. Yeah, they're well run. Will Brinson next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Adam Gold Show.
Hey, I know Cooper Flagg didn't win all of the awards. He won the 2 major ones. He got Player of the Year. He got Rookie of the Year. Neither were unanimous, which blows my mind. But he should have won Defensive Player of the Year as well. And John Shire was the Coach of the Year. Yes, I know Duke has all these great players. They were 19-1. They were 28-3. Historical point differential. Come on.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Adam Gold here for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. I have 9 of my original Sweet 16 still left. I don't know if that's good or not. It's probably good for me, probably not good for most other people. So if your brackets are busted, new customers right now at FanDuel can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So pick something easy and then get $200 of their money to use in bonus bet situations. And then maybe you could take Maryland to beat Florida as long as their best player's allowed to travel. FanDuel.com/AdamGold, FanDuel.com/AdamGold. The college hoops action is here for you all tournament long. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Tired of hearing this from your local tire place?
Sorry, we can't fix it. Take it to Dauntless.
This year, skip the middleman and take your car straight to Dauntless Transmissions if you want quality work done right the first time. Transmissions, engine, or brake work, or just a regular tune-up. If it's broke, Dauntless will fix it. For quality work done with the kind of experience that works for you, take it to Dauntless Transmissions first. Go to DauntlessTransmissions.com to book your visit today. Dauntless Transmissions, your local source for exceptional service.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's with limited time savings on the supplies pros need. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save an additional $100 on every $1,000 you spend on select major appliances. And don't miss your chance to activate and earn 3 times the points on select DeWalt and Klein tools. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 3/28. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See associate or Lowe's.com for more details on qualifying items.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. ¿Vos está pronto?
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
This is Adam Gold.
But whenever you say, well, we're not using this as an excuse, no, you are. Whether it's justifiable or not can be a different discussion, but you are.
It's like the equivalent of saying no offense, but ...
Offense coming.
Yeah, get ready for it.
Look out. Here we come with some offense for you.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. Wednesday on the program. We are still a day away from the Sweet 16 tipping off. Duke will play probably before midnight in Newark, New Jersey, because they're the second game on the court, and a 7:09 tip-off for the first game, which is Alabama and whoever Alabama's playing. Is it Kentucky? Is it no? Tennessee plays Kentucky. It's I forget who cares. Who cares who Alabama plays? The Alabama game is the first game, and then the Duke game will be the next game. Every NCAA tournament game takes 2.5 hours to play. Every one, and then we have to wait a half hour for the next game. So it's going to be after 10.
BYU. Alabama and BYU.
By the way, I've seen the over-under for that game.
Oh.
They are expecting no defense.
Oh.
0 defense in that one. The total is 175.5.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Will Brinson, a man who knows about a total or two, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. I mean, like, we're just going to have people getting out of the way, and it's going to be a score fest in that game.
I bet they cancel the tournament.
We're going to have to start that over. Victoria, see if we can't improve that cellular connection with Will Brinson, because I heard of like every third word. So we'll do that. We'll kind of just reconnect with Will, since we could barely hear him. Not that I asked him a football question. And when he does reconnect, we will talk about the fact that the Giants signed, I think it was over the weekend, Jameis Winston, which to me, smart. You know, Winston I think can be a starter for you. Not if you're a really good team, obviously, and the Giants are not that. But it's clear that the Giants are not in a we're going to win now, we're going to be good now mode, because they signed Russell Wilson. And we watched him for the second half of the year in Pittsburgh, and at best, he was just okay. We'll try one more time with Will Brinson. Forget about Alabama, BYU, but it will be fun to watch.
I was saying that I thought they canceled the tournament because NC State already won the offseason when they hired Will Wade, who gave, and then I'm biased here, obviously, but best introductory press conference I've ever seen in my life.
All right. It's not I still can't really understand Will. It's so disappointing. We have to figure that out, Victoria. So let's try one more time with Will until we get to that point. What Will did say about Will Wade, and we are going to talk about the quarterback with the Giants and also what the Patriots are doing with Stephon Diggs. whether NC State won the offseason, it's very understated, by the way, up in Virginia. And Richard Pitino, not Rick Pitino, Richard Pitino is leaving New Mexico and going to Xavier. So they decided not to hire their second former coach by hiring Chris Mack. They decided to go to Richard Pitino. I'm not saying one way or the other whether that's a good signing or not, but now we'll have Richard Pitino and Rick Pitino in the same conference, both in the Big East. But if Will Wade does what he said he was going to do yesterday, and I believe he will, then, yeah, NC State's the biggest offseason winner because they would have gotten legitimacy. And this is not a knock on Kevin Keatts. Kevin Keatts was far more of a coaching risk than Will Wade is because Kevin Keatts had a much shorter body of work. When you look at the resumes of coaches, it's just like when you trade for a player who doesn't have a lot of history. If the guy's only been in the league for a couple of years, you don't really know what he is. But when a guy's been a coach for almost a dozen years, you know what Will Wade is. He wins everywhere he's gone. So I think it's an easy assumption that NC State will be good. All right, we're going to try this again. Let's just get right to the Giants. What are they doing? What are they doing? The Jameis Winston thing I got. But why are you spending this money, it's not that much money, on Russell Wilson? Just let Jameis be your guy.
A situation where I don't think that James wasn't even on the roster if they draft a quarterback up high. And if you don't draft a quarterback up high and you do Travis Hunter, well, sure, it's not unreasonable if you want to go Travis Hunter and for a quarterback.
All right, it's nobody. There is not a single person on this earth that loves Will Brinson more than I do. I can't hear him. So we're either going to have to try something else another time or we'll send him a different phone. One of the two things will have to happen. Anyway, I'll just say, I just think what the Giants are doing is silly. One, but not two. And it's not like you're even taking a chance on the future. Like I understood what the Steelers were doing last year by Fields and Wilson. Hey, Fields may be more of a projection. This might be somebody that works. And Wilson, if this doesn't work, we have a fallback a little bit steadier. Just let Jameis play. I mean, we know Jameis has all sorts of faults. Just let him play. All right, now real quick to what the Patriots are doing. So, because I was curious, to me, Stephon Diggs, his best days are well in his rearview mirror. And I've said this a number of times this past year about Diggs and the Bills. Like, I understand the idea that, well, maybe the Bills weren't using him right. Well, even in Houston, he was just okay. Now, he certainly caught a fair amount of passes and would have approached 100 receptions had he stayed healthy all year. He only played half the year, played 8 games. But his average yards per catch were just over 10. Touchdowns, 3. So even if you just doubled it and said he was going to play almost every game, it's a lot of catches. And essentially what you're saying is he's a smaller version of Adam Thielen. That's pretty good as a third receiving option if you are the Patriots. But you're kind of bringing him in to be more than that. You're paying him enough money. It was a 3-year, $69 million deal. I have no idea how much of that is guaranteed. So for those of us here who want to see Drake May succeed, I would hope that Stephon Diggs is not the centerpiece of New England's makeover of the wide receiver position because I think it's done. It's just hard. He's in his 30s. He's He first came into the league in 2015. It is really difficult to still be at his level now. It's not unheard of. Plenty of players stay at a high level into their mid-30s. But now we have a fair amount of seasons of declining impact to think, well, you know what? Maybe it's done for Diggs. Maybe he's just, got to stay on the field, which he didn't do last year in Houston. They certainly needed him because they had other receivers that were injured. Was it Tank Bell was hurt, right? And I think the other receiver was also spent some time injured. They would have loved to have had a better version of Stephon Diggs, and they didn't. That is unfortunate. I don't get what the Patriots are doing. I don't get what the Giants are doing. But maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the outlier. All right. When we come back, your opportunity to ask questions. Victoria's got questions. Maybe you do too. In the chat on YouTube, youtube.com/Adam Gold Show or /999 The Fan. One-timers is next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Every day, people battling addiction suffer in silence. Because of stigma, they fear judgment. They fear being labeled, and too often, they don't get the help they need. But you can help change that. Join the Governor's Institute and be a superhero in the overdose battle campaign. Learn how to break the stigma, support those in need, and save lives. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero to get involved. Be a hero, fight stigma, save a life.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. North Carolina needs more than 12,000 RNs and 5,000 LPNs over the next decade to meet the demands of its aging and growing population. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with NC Healthcare Association President and CEO Josh Dobson to learn more about the need and where you or someone you know might fit in.
The people who work in hospitals and healthcare facilities, they really are the backbone of our communities. They are the ones providing care. They ensure quality treatment and making a difference in patients' lives every day. That's why it's so crucial to not only celebrate their work, but also encourage the next generation to step into these roles.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Chip Patterson next hour. We will discuss with him the death of Cinderella. Cinderella's died.
Turned into a pumpkin.
The coach has turned back into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
She no longer has the glass slipper.
No.
She's back to being a peasant.
Ugly stepsisters are running everything.
Exactly. She is just washing clothes down by the river.
Yeah.
What apparently they...
Man by the river.
That's what they do. All right, so let's get right into it. We have extended one-timers today.
All right, so we will kick things off. We have a few YouTube streamers, so I will get to those in just a second, and you can sneak one in if you want real fast. But this one came from my Twitter, V to the Victoria, with some underscores from Chef Wolf. We have, do you think the NC State players entering the portal have talked to Coach Wade before entering the portal?
Don't know. I really don't know. I think some of them probably hadn't and were planning on entering the portal anyway. They have certainly had an extended period of time since they were not involved in the ACC tournament. So they probably have made it, had made plans to be in the portal. I think the common misconception, though, is that when you enter the portal, that it automatically means that you are leaving your current school. I would point out that Seth Trimble was in the portal after declaring that he was going there after his previous season at UNC, and ultimately decided to stay for whatever reason. Maybe you go in the portal and the opportunities for you aren't any better, and that is probably common. So, yeah, whether it's Dennis Park, I haven't seen a list of who's in the portal and who's not. But whoever it is, yeah, keep your mind open.
Mm-hmm.
You should be. Will Wade might be the perfect coach for you. I don't know. So it probably varies is the answer.
Okay. Well, next up from Levi. Is the Hurricanes team too small to win a cup? How do we add size in the offseason if not?
Well, I mean, Mark Jankowski's big. Taylor Hall's big. So I think it's adding size in the right spot. I went to the morning skate yesterday, and the best part about that, other than just getting a chance to go down to the locker room and talk to some of the players, was the conversations that you have with other people who cover the team. And we had wildly differing views on what this team needs. I know what I think the team needs. I think the team needs a bona fide number 2 center. I think it screams for somebody like that. It screams for a center who can be a playmaker and score. Because right now, only Aho is that guy, and he hasn't had the offensive year that he would like, nor the offensive year that this team would like, and probably needs right now. So that to me is a need. More than size, but I think theoretically those two players would both fit the bill. I also think this team needs another defenseman with some size and some physicality. I realize that Alexander Nikishin is going to come in and in many ways bring that. But if you look at the way Carolina is made up, likely to be made up next year, Nikishin would be the outlier. And he's a rookie. I just don't think that's the way your team... I think you need more physical presence on the blue line. And while Carolina is a very good defensive team, one of the best defensive teams, they do that in a lot of different ways. And I think it's beneficial, especially when you get in the playoffs, to have a physical element, and Carolina Hurricanes do not. They will hit, but by and large, I think we all should agree that they are not a physical team. Mm-hmm. And I think Carolina needs to get a little bit more of that element. So these are the things that I believe they need. And my conversations were like, why do they need that? I'm like, what? I honestly never thought that was going to be part of this discussion. Right. Why do they need that? Why do they need an upgrade at number 2 center? Why do they need a physical element on defense? I don't know. Maybe I'm old school, but I think you do. But again, I don't have to be right. That's just the way I think this team is. So yeah. I think they have size already, but I think they could use more of it, and they could certainly use it at a center spot and on the blue line.
Mm-hmm. I know some of our size went to the team we played last night. Brady Shea. Next up from...
But he wasn't a super physical player.
No. He was bigger. I loved Brady Shea.
I did too.
Butch, he...
Talked to him last night.
Aw.
Before the game.
Aw.
Yeah. He's great.
He's a great guy.
Yes, Miss Brady Shea.
Mm-hmm. This one from Butch, he wants to know, will NCAA agents start coming out and publicly disclose the money they got from their NCAA players to generate leverage, or is the NIL money going to remain a secret?
Okay. I was confused by what NCAA agents mean, like the player agents. I think I'm an outlier here. I don't care what the players get. I don't. I just don't care what the players get. I understand why we know what professional athletes make. I understand that. Because in many ways there are, it's part of the game. Because it's collectively bargained. And maybe the answer is when we get a collective bargaining agreement in college sports to where they can legally mandate salary caps and things like that and financial structures that all the schools have to follow. Yeah, then maybe we could talk about learning what these athletes make in NIL. But A, I don't care. And B, it's none of my business. None. I had, no joke, we'll just say contentious conversation with a former superior here. Actually, I shouldn't even say former, because I'll just say superior. Because I didn't think it was my business what these guys earned. And the response was, and I understand what he was getting at, how will we know who should win and who shouldn't? And I didn't have a great answer other than I just don't think I have the right to know. Mm-hmm. And I also think that we can figure out, this school is probably spending more money based on the talent level than other schools. We don't necessarily know why, but I think we can say, well, this school is probably spending more money. But it was the way the system works now in college is so vastly different from what it was 2 years ago. Forget about 5 years ago. that I don't know that I have any great answers for why we do things the way we do. But I do think that it is none of my business what the college athlete makes unless we enter into a system that all parties sign off on. And I don't think we're doing that.
I agree. Well, the next one, I've already thought of my answer to this one. Jim, rank what's more likely to happen. Duke wins the NCAA tournament, Canes go to the Stanley Cup Finals, or Panthers have a winning season in 25-26. I would say Duke, Panthers, Canes. That would be my ranking.
Duke wins a title, Canes go to the finals?
Yes.
And Panthers have a winning season. I think you got it right.
Yeah.
I think you got it right. I think the Panthers could go 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a great chance of that. There's a chance of it. I could see if the Hurricane. I would like that question asked of me a week from today, week from tomorrow, after the Caps game, because I believe that if the Hurricanes can figure out a little bit more offense, then. Yeah, Stanley Cup Finals, Eastern Conference Finals.
Right, that'd be different.
That would be vastly different.
Next season, Canes, then it might flop too.
I still think that we're going to have, for the 6th straight year, a team from Florida in the Stanley Cup Finals. Tampa, Florida. One of the two again. Anything else?
We have one more. So, NC State moderator, do you think Will Wade is going to make good on his promises from the presser yesterday?
Yes, I do. I'm supremely confident that at the very least he will return NC State to being good. And I thought he hit all the right notes yesterday. I didn't even listen to the Q&A part of the press conference, but in his statement, I thought he did.
Talking sports, so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but that doesn't mean me and my co-host, WRAL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as the NFL draft approaches, insight on free agents and prospects, plus all the insider info on who the Panthers want to pick at number 8. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
You know that feeling? That confident, swaggerific feeling that says, look at me, world, I know stuff. Own that feeling with PlaySmart, a fun new go-to resource from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With PlaySmart, get to know the odds, learn tips, set limits and budgets, and make the most of your play. Awesome feeling, right? Right. Play smart, the way smart players play. Visit ncplaysmart.com. Must be 18 to play. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Smart homes, virtual assistants, and AI. Imagine what the next 10 years will bring. At Lumos, we have. With 100% fiber internet built for the future, you're ready for whatever comes next. Plans start at $50 per month. Learn more at lumosfiber.com/next.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
With the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, That's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's Bo time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. You're lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm excited for him. I'm excited for NC State. He kind of comes into the league at a time like when Valvano, Kay, and Crimmins all showed up in the ACC, except he's just the one guy.
Right.
I look at Will Wade as being the front guy of the new hires in the ACC. So I am excited for NC State. I'm excited for Will. I think it's a really good fit. 3 of his top 6 scorers at McNeese State could be wearing Wolfpack red next year. Sincere Parker, DJ Richards, and Kadir Copeland, whose career ironically started at Syracuse, could all be in Raleigh in the next 30 days.
It's Wes Durham from yesterday. Joined us on the Adam Gold Show. Victoria's here. Chip Patterson will join us in 15 minutes. We'll get his take on Is Cinderella Dead? Everybody decides what they like the most about the NCAA tournament. By the way, real quick aside, as could be absolutely expected, television ratings for the women's tournament have dropped off from last year. And I know there are going to be people who were waiting for, we'll just say, the bottom to fall out, who go, see, it's not quite as popular as you thought. Except every single window showed a pretty large increase from 2023. So while, yes, last year, the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese experience, and others, and Juju Smith, Juju Watkins, I made her a wide receiver. All those players, we knew there was going to be a drop-off, much like we knew that there would be a drop-off from the Tiger Woods era in golf to whatever's next, much like there was a drop-off from the one Zion Williamson year at Duke to the next. If you look at television ratings for college basketball today versus television ratings for college basketball regular season ratings during the 2019 season when Zion was running things, the old ratings were much higher. But if you look at women's basketball and the interest in women's basketball, kick last year out, go back to 2023, and you'll find a significant increase in viewership from 2023 to 2025. Because there is still a theory, and I agree with this, that the women's tournament is still undervalued as a sports property. You see what ESPN is doing? They're putting games on ABC. Over the air. They thought, you know what? We think that this will work, and it will absolutely work. Across the board, games are up. And by the way, State, Duke, Carolina, all through, and we will get the third. Is it the third meeting or the fourth meeting between Duke and Carolina this year? I think it's the fourth. Didn't they meet in the ACC tournament? Maybe I missed it. Got that wrong. If they met in the ACC tournament, it would be meeting 4. If they didn't, it will be meeting 3. And the Wolfpack, of course, are in the Sweet 16 as well. All right, second shot at our news of the day. And we'll start with, by the way, we rescheduled Will Brinson for 2 o'clock. We're gluttons. We're gonna try it a different way.
Everybody keep their fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly, including Will, who's like, well, whatever. I'm here. I'm working from home. So Jordan Rennon, who covers the Giants, I think for ESPN, on their plan to sign Russell Wilson came after they watched Cam Ward's pro day in Miami.
Yesterday, right, was the Tennessee Titans pro day. Cam Ward's pro day. And the Tennessee Titans were there. And Mike Berganzi, their GM, was there. Joe Shane was there. And it kind of, solidified, okay, the Tennessee Titans are pretty much going to take Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. That dream might be dead. So I think, okay, that was sort of the last straw here. Okay, let's make a move here. We can't wait for Aaron Rodgers any longer. And the Giants were waiting for Aaron Rodgers. That was their plan, I don't know, C, whatever you want to call it. So now, hey, move on to plan D. Add as many veterans that we can, at least that we know are serviceable and can fill in and play, start at the NFL level. Now here you are with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, a guy who's on his 4th team in 5 years and a guy who hasn't started in 5 years.
All right, so I really don't understand what the Giants' plan is. Like, I don't think you needed Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. One of them would probably suffice, and then go out and get yourself somebody who can simply be a backup. Russell Wilson just isn't a backup. He just doesn't have that mentality. And I don't know, maybe I'm nuts, but I think Winston is the better option for the Giants. He's certainly going to give you more of the, what the heck is he doing today, than Wilson would, but I also think he has a greater chance of being good than Wilson does. I think Wilson can only be safe. And why would the Giants just want that? I don't know. I think the Giants should be thinking about the future, but it's funny. When I'll bring this back to the Washington Commandos, back when they were called the other team. And they kept franchise tagging Kirk Cousins, which is fine. You don't want to commit to Kirk Cousins long term. I get it. I'm with you. We are in full agreement about not committing long term to Kirk Cousins. But here's what I didn't get from Washington's perspective when they were doing it. If you're not going to commit to Kirk Cousins, why aren't you cultivating, however you could, the next quarterback? So while Washington was paying Kirk Cousins more money than he should ever be paid, Washington was also not putting in motion plans for the next quarterback. So we got to a point and we're like, oh, we don't know what to do. Who's left? We have no idea. Like, what are you guys doing? Have a plan. It doesn't appear to me the Giants have a plan. Because I don't think they like Shedeur Sanders. If they liked Shedeur Sanders, or maybe Deion Sanders has said, don't draft us because we're not coming. I don't know.
Their dad.
I don't know. But if I'm the Giants, it's Jameis Winston. Let me bring in another veteran who can, back him up. start if he had to, but he's not going to compete with Jameis Winston for the game. Let Jameis be the quarterback for a year. But plan for your next quarterback. Now, it might not be Shedeur Sanders, which is fine. But in that case, just get Jameis, spend money on the rest of your team. Don't even worry about a backup quarterback of note. And be willing to go 2-15 and get the first pick of the next draft. There's no lottery. You can control whether or not you get the first pick by sucking enough. I think the Giants are well on their way. Congratulations. You are on the clock in 2026 already to the New York Giants. All right, Taylor Hall, who has scored now the last 4 Carolina Hurricanes goals. How is the team playing at this point? And, of course, yesterday specifically, was it simply about luck?
I mean, yeah, it was a pretty good game. There's always things to correct. And, if you're on for a goal against, you always feel a little culpable. Something you could have done a bit better. At the end of the day, it was... considering 3 and 4 with some travel, we had some juice, and we controlled play a lot of the night. They're a plucky team, and they're not gonna give in. So that's a tough one to lose. You think you deserve a better result, but sometimes the score is what it is.
Yeah, sometimes the score is what it is. Sometimes sports happens, and that's what happened last night. But Taylor Hall was pretty spot on about all of it. They should have scored more. And Hall was talking about being on the ice for the 3rd goal. And Carroll, that was the killer. And Hall tried. Hall, didn't win the board battle, but he clearly tried. My 2 questions are, what was Jesperi Kotkaniemi doing just loitering somewhere in the ether? Like, do something. You're right there. So commit to helping the play, or just back off and cover your man or cover a man. And then Jalen Chatfield was also out of position in no man's land. And the defenseman, number 7, whoever he is, Dell something. He takes the shot that's deflected by... Evangelista that makes it 3-1. It beats Kochetkov. So it was a poorly defended play. And Hall was on the ice for the first part, well, for all of it, but he was part of the first defensive failure, but there were others that were way more egregious than his. And we'll leave it there. Chip Patterson's going to join us when we come back. Is Cinderella dead? Next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're in the middle of the madness.
Corner 3 by Murray. It's good! Timeout, Clemson!
From the first 4 to the national championship.
Blocked by Shoemate and stolen away by McGeese.
All the hoops action will be heard here.
McGeese with the upset. Let the March Madness begin.
The road to San Antonio is driven by Bailey's Fine Jewelry, Fairway Green, and First Horizon Bank. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Discover the thrill of precision and elegance with Omega at Bailey's Fine Jewelry. From the depths of the ocean to the heights of space, Omega's Seamaster and Speedmaster collections are crafted for those who dare to explore. With a heritage rooted in innovation and a timeless style inspired by sports, space, and cinematic legends, Omega is the gift for every adventurer. Find your perfect watch at Bailey's Fine Jewelry in Raleigh's Village District. Voted best jeweler. Learn more at baileybox.com.
This is what WRAL weather coverage sounds like.
Thunderstorm warning right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
When your safety is a priority.
An indication that there's a tornado on the ground, so get in your safe spot
in this area, get in your safe spot right now.
With the tools that make a difference.
WRAL Storm Tracker is inside the storm.
WRAL has the only dual Doppler radar in Wade County.
Hear it and see it every day.
It looks like the storm is doing exactly what we predicted to do.
That's WRAL News. Weather coverage you can count on.
Hear that? That's the sound of digital instants from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With instant wins, progressive jackpots, and bonus games right from your phone. It's nonstop chances to win like you've never seen or heard before.
Oh, yeah! Big money!
Visit nclottery.com to get in on the action. Must be 18 to play. See prize and odds charts at nclottery.com/digital-instants for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
What did you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint. Let's trade
lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. So, but yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. We got Chipolytics to talk about. We've got pro days to talk about. I want his thoughts on Carolina's pro day. And we also have to discuss, is Cinderella dead? Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, my friend. Sir, how art thou?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Well, I have 9 of the 16 teams in the Sweet 16 still left in my bracket. I do have all 4 Final Four teams. Does that make me special in any way?
I don't know. Didn't we copy each other's bracket? I've got 7 of my Elite 8, but I'm not doing well in the... Oh, you'll like this a lot. Okay. So what I have discovered with my bracket is that I am going to be doing a Rory McIlroy backdoor top 10 if Duke wins this. Because here's why I'm nowhere close to the top in any of the pools that I'm in. Because I had the Clemson Tigers in the Sweet 16.
Right.
Oops. I had the North Carolina Tar Heels in the Sweet 16.
I did.
Oops.
Yeah.
I had the Louisville Cardinals in the Sweet 16. Yikes. Very first game of the very first window, just getting bludgeoned in the first half. So my score right now is not great. However, like you, I've got all 4 of my Final Four teams. As I said, I've got 7 of my Elite 8 teams. And if Duke wins the national championship, then my final total will be like when Rory goes out there in the morning, fires a 63 and winds up T7. The good old Wikipedia top 10.
Yeah.
Just sort of like, yeah.
Those days are over.
He was in the mix. I know.
We've discussed this. Rory's either winning by 3 or 5. All right, we'll get to that in a minute. I actually only have 6 of my Elite 8 teams left because I had St. John's erroneously, even though I bet against them in the second round because I actually thought that they would lose that game because I remember a couple of things. Like I've seen smart people do videos on like which teams are probably not going to do well. And the truth is that if nobody thought you'd be good and you just sort of show up and be good, in general, the consensus thought at the beginning of the year, in general, that consensus is probably right.
So you're doing preseason AP top 25 teams who get top seeds.
Yeah.
If you are not in the preseason AP top 25, you typically do not fare well and get picked off early.
Correct.
Yes, that is a trend.
And that was St. John's. And St. John's took advantage of what we now know to be a pretty mediocre conference, just like Clemson, just like Louisville. And this gets back to my my problem with the ACC's Coach of the Year vote is that we valued 18-2 for Louisville a little too much. How many of those wins really were good ones? Because the truth of the matter is that if Carolina was the 4th best team, and I believe that they were the 4th best team, boy, was this a terrible league. It wasn't just down. It was historically bad. And I just don't think we should have valued those wins as much. That's all.
Well, I think that's what that is the most one of the most honest things that Will Wade said at his press conference is that in year 1 we're going to be in the top tier of the ACC.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, right. Show up and tie your shoes.
That's right.
When you're in the middle of the pack.
I agree with you.
I mean, it's just like and that's a good thing, right? You know, when he says we're going to be in the NCAA tournament, we're going to be in the top tier of the ACC year 1. This is not a rebuild. Some of that is, I believe in Will Wade, just fundamentally as a head coach. But also, I understand that the path from missing the ACC tournament altogether to having a top 4 seed in the ACC tournament is not going to be like you're not going to have to jump over a large gulf to be able to do that. That is a realistic declaration from the Wolfpack's new head coach.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. I'm surprised. Well, we talked about this pretty much all year on this show. I couldn't figure out why NC State wasn't better. I get they didn't have a go-to guy, but they had 6 or 7 players that should have been good players in this league. The fact that they missed the ACC tournament is one of the great mysteries to me. I heard a lot of good things just in the opening statement, which was about 8 minutes long. I heard a ton of good things that I liked about Will, including the fact that he brought up LSU. Mm-hmm. And what happened at LSU is why I was at McNeese State. And I thought it was smart to bring that up. You didn't have to get into the details of it, but most people knew the details, enough of the details, that, he was hit with a show cause while he was at McNeese State. When he got to McNeese State, he was given a 2-year show cause, which hasn't even expired yet. Right? I think it's this June. Can you get off early in a show cause? I don't know. Is there time off for good behavior, not arguing with officials, that it won't go the full 2 years? Because it was like June of 23 when he got the show cause.
Do you want me to bring clarity to it? I can summarize it really quickly. I do not know the exact dates of the show cause, but it is on the university's responsibility to show cause for why you believe it's done. Basically, It's a lot of paperwork for the NCAA.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Who likes paper? Nobody likes paperwork. But I was impressed by Will Wade. I think he's right. I think NC State will be good in year 1. It might be McNeese State. We'll have to have a suburb of Raleigh called Lake Charles, and that would be fine. But it could be a lot of McNeese State flavor on the roster. But I don't care who it is. Like, just go out, go win basketball games.
Well, that's what Drake did Ben McCollum shows up with all of his Division II players, and they end up winning the conference and making it to the second round of the NCAA tournament. So, Pat Kelsey shows up with players from Charleston. Like, this is that is part of the hire, is when you think, hey, and he's got a couple of these key players to be able to make sure that the transition goes a little bit more smoothly.
All right, so let me ask this question, because this has been debated ad nauseum on networks all over Bristol, Connecticut. Is Cinderella dead, Chip Patterson?
No.
Tell me, you. By the way, first of all, I will say that I agree that it is not dead. I do think that it feels a little bit different right now for some reasons that we can get into, but I think the people declaring Cinderella dead, I think, are maybe distorting history here.
Of what Cinderella was?
A, what Cinderella was, and B, how long Cinderella lasted in any tournament.
Right. Okay, so first things first. It is a result at the conference level. It is a result of conference consolidation, because BYU was in the West Coast Conference not that long ago.
Right.
Because Houston was in the American Athletic Conference not that long ago. The teams and the programs that had been some of the Cinderellas of years past have gotten gobbled up as conferences have continued to consolidate. The reason why we've got 7 SEC teams in the Sweet 16 is because the SEC had a good season, but also because the SEC's got 16 big brand schools now in its conference. Some of this is just a numbers game. Now, if you want to go by the seeding and the seed numbers, we were a travel call away from getting Colorado State. You know, we had Drake into the second round. We had, if McNeese were able to get off to a better start against Purdue, you had another opportunity there. We were a couple 40-minute basketball games away from having multiple double-digit seeds in the Sweet 16, not just only one, and that one being Arkansas from the Southeastern Conference. And then my last thought about this, look, your Oral Roberts, your St. Peter's, those to me are the Cinderella stories that we get over time, but we don't get them every single year. And my guess is we'll probably get them next year. It's just, you got to look at the whole set of information before you overreact and say Cinderella's dead.
So here's what I did. I actually went back and looked. I went back all the way to 2015, which is like a different universe in college sports anyway. But I went back to 2015. So we've had 9 tournaments since we didn't have the 2020 event. We've had 9 tournaments, not including this one, since 2015. We have had, and I define Cinderella as double-digit seed, not a 10. Because there's no difference. 8s, 9s, 7s, and 10s are the same. An 11 seed or higher, and you could argue that 11s and 6s are pretty similar anyway. But
to me, it depends on the conference the 11 comes from.
And that's it. If you're in a power league, and I will throw the Big East into the power league category, if you're in a power league, I don't care what your seed is. You're not a Cinderella.
Right.
Like in the NCAA tournament, the fact that NC State made the Final Four, that is an incredible run, borderline miracle. But if you come from a major league, you ain't Cinderella. There's no such thing as a 12-seed Syracuse is a Cinderella. Like, you obviously screwed up during the course of your season to be in a position where you needed to be a 12, and you were clearly good enough to get this far. So I think you got to be in a smaller school in a smaller league and be a double-digit seed. And in the 9 tournaments previous, people who have been listening this entire show have heard this before. I apologize. You should have better things to do. There have been 34 teams that fit that bill that won opening round games in the last 9 tournaments. That's just under 4 per year.
Right.
We had 3 of those teams this year. McNeese, Colorado State, Drake. So 3 and 4 is not that far. Do you know how many of those teams won second-round games?
I mean,
in the previous 9 years. 3.
5 or 6.
3.
Yeah.
That's it. In the last 9 tournaments. You named one of them, Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts and St. Peter's.
St. Peter's and Loyola of Chicago.
Yeah.
Those are the schools that have made it at least to the Sweet 16. Like, so people's their perception of what Cinderella's week 1. Cinderella is not week 2. Week 2, we get down to the business of declaring a national champion. And I think most of us that love the sport, we would love to see the best teams to this point, because we want these schools that are going to try and win a national title, we want them to have to earn it, right? We don't want to, like, gifted to the national championship, to the Final Four. We want them to have to earn it. That's how we decide who the best team is. Cinderella, first week, great. First 2 days, great. After that, nah, man, give me the best teams.
Oh, and just look at the schedule for Thursday and Friday night. I mean, it's phenomenal. Like that's the other thing is, are you excited about massive basketball games with huge stakes that will decide the national championship between these? So the 8 teams that are playing Thursday night, 5 of them have won national championships since 1994. These. Awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. And they've together, they've accounted for nearly 1/3 of the national championships of the last 35 years. And I know Duke has 6 of them, but we're talking about Arkansas, we're talking about Florida, we're talking about just like the programs whose fans in their lifetime expect to win national championships, and they're all going against each other in the Sweet 16. It is a phenomenal set of basketball games that we've got here. I hope the quality of the play matches the quality of the way it looks on paper. We'll see.
Aren't you excited for I think it's the 10th time that Caleb Love will play against Duke in his career?
I am so excited for that matchup.
All right, what do your Chipolitics say about that?
So I'm going head-to-head right now with somebody else at the CBS Brain Trust who made a great point that with rangy perimeter players and with Visir and another big man, Arizona might be able to stop the war machine that has been Duke's offense.
Okay.
That they are built that way. Because my argument was, I think that Duke will be able to score, but like trying to make a prediction on the spread, it seemed a little bit like I wasn't all the way ready to do that. I submitted my best bet as Duke team total over 81.5. And he was like, I don't know, Chip. Because remember, Duke only scored, 61 points in the earlier game from the regular season?
Yep.
And so he said, I think that Arizona's, got the makeup and the blueprint, but I just think this is a different Duke team right now. And I think that what they will do is they will push the ball in transition so that Arizona's defense can't get set, and that Arizona's poor shot selection will lead to long runouts and an easy way to get easy buckets. And just the way that team is flying up and down the floor looks a little bit different. So I think that it will be a thrilling game. If Caleb Love gets hot, Arizona can chase Duke, but I think that Duke is without a doubt the better team, and we'll find a way to make it through to the Elite Eight.
I think if Caleb Love can have a Caleb Love versus Duke game,
which is 25 points.
Absolutely. 7 threes, big shots. I think Arizona can keep it within 10 if he does that. Now, granted, at this point, I am saying that Duke is going to play well. And I think if Duke plays well, Arizona isn't equipped to beat him.
Right.
I don't care about range. I don't care about size. If Duke plays well, Arizona isn't the team that's going to knock him off. Duke can. There are teams that can beat Duke. Auburn can beat Duke when Duke plays well. I don't know about Alabama because Alabama doesn't defend.
Florida can beat Duke.
Yeah, I'm even somewhat concerned about Florida's defense. Like, this might be an unpopular opinion. As great as Walter Clayton Jr. was, holy cow, did I fall in love watching that kid play. I thought Connecticut blew the game. They had a possession up. They were either up 3. I think they were up 5. And there wasn't that much.
The Caravan no call? Like when he drove to the lane, thought he got fouled?
No,
about 3 minutes left?
He drove.
That was the end of them leading.
It was right after. No, they were still leading after this mistake. It was a turnover, a live ball turnover. Florida threw the ball away. It was intercepted, and the guy was going in for a layup. Now, it wasn't a wide open layup. It would have been contested.
Dumped it off.
And he dumped it off in the corner, and they turned it over. And I'm like, that was a mistake. Take it to the basket. You're probably at the worst going to get fouled. Go to the free throw line, extend your lead. Instead, you threw it to the corner. He turned it over. Florida went down and hit a three.
So here's the way that I saw it. I saw it not as reasons to be concerned about Florida defensively, but just a reminder that he really is the best bleeping coach in America. Like that Dan Hurley put Todd Golden in a body bag.
Yeah.
Stuffed him in a locker. It's just...
Oh, he's a great coach, Dan Hurley's nuts.
Yeah, again, everyone gets distracted by the antics and everything else, but the way that he and his staff are able to not just like scout and game plan, but then teach an extremely intricate and complicated offensive sets to his team and get them to go and execute it. I mean, he's just I put him up there. Well, I put him up there with anybody that's going right now. I mean, like Rick Pitino is like he's got the body of work, and Bill Self has an impressive resume. Dan Hurley is still building it, but coaching chops. Joe Giglio used to call it, or still does call it, the death rules.
Right.
Like if I needed somebody to go take 5 individuals, my life is on the line. I'm picking Gary Williams as my coach to be able to go win. Like Danny Hurley might need more than just like an afternoon to get him ready, but Danny Hurley just being able to get a group together, a game plan together to cut into what was a massive size advantage for Florida, a talent advantage for Florida, a depth advantage for Florida, then to be able to hold a lead with 3 minutes left. I wrote as much for CBSSports.com from the arena afterwards. I thought that was like a championship DNA. We're not going to get punked. We're not going to go down getting blown out or losing to a lower seed. Like there's some real pride there. And so,
Connecticut could have easily won that game. Connecticut could have easily won that game. But I think Florida's a team that could beat Duke. Auburn is a team that could beat Duke. I don't think Michigan State can. I'm not sure about Tennessee. I think there's only a handful of teams that can beat Duke if Duke plays well. They don't have to shoot it like Tyrese Proctor. They don't who's only shooting 64% from 3 in his last 3 games. It's just insane. They don't have to shoot it like that, but if they shoot a normal percentage for them, which is just average, like 38%, they make, 8 out of 23s basically. I don't think there's just not that many teams that can beat them. I think their defense is a constant.
I think Duke got better with Cooper Flagg's injury. So two things to this. Number one, Con Knippel talked about how they learned more things on offense and defense. On offense, about moving without the ball in different ways that everyone can help the team, and defensively had to make had to adapt some without him there to be able to be at the rim, and they learned some things that are going to help them in the long run. And number two, I think that Coop came back refreshed. I think that just sort of getting, it's like LeBron always takes his spring break and then he comes back for the playoff push.
Yep.
And not that an 18-year-old needs that, but I think he came back based on everything that we saw. The ankle was 100%, but he was also just fired up and engaged and playing at a high level. I think Duke's better off right now on both on-court and off-court reasons. After the injury.
Yeah.
They won the ACC tournament while they were resting their best player and National Player of the Year frontrunner.
Yeah, and they're also missing another elite-level defender at the very least. Malik Brown. So two of their top, we'll just say 7 players were out of the lineup, and they basically, I know it was close with Carolina on Friday night because the Tar Heels made that run back. I don't know how you look at that. Chip Patterson is here, as he is always on Wednesdays. But I look at what Carolina did, whether it's the game against Ole Miss in the first round of the tournament, or it's that game against Duke, or it's the games against Kansas during the year where they get down big. It worked against Dayton. It kind of worked against UCLA, even though UCLA sort of allowed it. But I don't look at it as that, oh man, we have to just deal with our slow starts. If we don't start like that, we win the game. I'm like, yeah, Jeff Bizdelik used to say if we didn't, give up that 30-0 run, we were right there. I just think that they weren't good enough. And that's the way I looked at North Carolina this year, because they had plenty of opportunities to win good games. And for one reason or another, they didn't. So I just think I don't see that as a slow start problem. I see that as a team problem.
Yeah, there was the ACC tournament semifinal I viewed as like in a way that was probably encouraging for people that were wondering what the DNA or fiber of this team was. I thought that was pride,
Yeah.
Other teams could have rolled over. Other teams would have. So then against Ole Miss, you know what Ole Miss felt like? Do you remember the Texas A&M loss in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Where Texas A&M just came out and they just started do flamethrowers way above their averages, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, this game's out of hand. I mean, I think Ole Miss shot like 60% from three in the opening 2 rounds. I mean, that doesn't seem sustainable.
I don't know. I just watched Duke do it.
It's a single game elimination tournament, right? I don't have any big Carolina takes off the Ole Miss loss, but the team was flawed and finding itself deep into the season. And teams that are still flawed and finding themselves deep into the season don't typically make deep runs in the NCAA tournament.
Chip Patterson is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. Real quick, one football thing before we let you go. Bill Belichick not at Carolina's pro day. I found funny. What do you make of that, if anything, that Bill was not around during that?
See, you're missing it. Headline is not about who was not at the pro day.
Right.
The headline is about who showed up last minute. Have you heard this?
No.
So, they needed their new true freshman, early enrollee quarterback, Bryce Baker, to step in last minute and be the passer for Nate McCollum, for Marion Hampton, for all the tight ends that you've got that are all working out for 31 of the 32 NFL teams.
And Dre Bly's kid, who was also there.
And he showed up and everybody said he threw it well. All the players had rave reviews. And do you know what this is? And this is why it's the headline. It might have me rethinking the quarterback outlook for the Tar Heels.
When you
fall.
said that, was it Brad Johnson's kid, Max Johnson, was going to be the starting quarterback? Look, I talked to Max Johnson in Charlotte last year. He's a super kid. Sharp, fun. I had a great time talking to him. I watched him play, and I'm like, no. No, they need somebody not named Max Johnson to be their quarterback. If it could be Bryce Baker, I'm here.
And again, I think Max probably doesn't get the call because he's still not even back to full contact yet as he continues to recover from his leg being snapped. You still are trying to figure out what Ryan Brown is going to be. Ryan Brown's probably not the arm talent player that you would go to next anyway. But I thought it was interesting that the football program decided they would tap their early enrollee true freshman as the player responsible for trying to make their pass catchers look the best in front of 31 NFL scouts. And the takeaways from the players and those who were there said, spun it pretty well. You did a great job. And so that's an interesting development. Takes me back to wondering if Sam Howell would start, right? And then he ends up getting the start as a true freshman. Maybe Baker has a similar path forward for him.
All right, Chip Patterson, you've got Duke over Arizona, right?
Got Duke over Arizona.
Do you have any upsets other than that? I don't think I do. I'd love to see Maryland knock off Florida, but will their best player be allowed to blatantly travel again like Derek Queen was in the second round game?
See, this is where the whistle is going to be actually important because Florida has 4 bigs and Maryland's got 2. If that's a tight whistle down low, guess who can afford some cheapies?
Florida.
Crashing the boards.
Absolutely.
And guess who cannot? I mean, that's the game. I hate when I say the game is going to come down to how the officials call it, but Florida-Maryland is going to come down to how the officials call it. Florida's got bodies on bodies on bodies.
Yeah.
If it's a tight whistle, Maryland's in a lot of trouble. I've got BYU over Alabama.
Track meet in that game. Over 175.5.
I don't know if you've seen Igor Demin, the 6'9" point guard from Russia.
Right, I have.
He played well, and he had not been playing well for a long stretch of the season. NBA draft stock kind of tanked. He played well in that opening weekend. Keep your eye on that. That's the kind of X factor that can end up being the difference in the tournament.
A Duke BYU regional final.
America first. Yeah, it's the perfect matchup. Exactly what you go for. Arkansas over Texas Tech.
I'm sorry. I need time. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator. I'm drooling. I'll talk to you next week, man.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
Holy cow. All right, we gotta hit a break. When we come back, we'll stretch and we'll place bets. My face is gonna freeze in this permanent smile. We have bets to make next.
From the heels,
touchdown Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And guess what? Baseball is here. That's right. Baseball starts this weekend, and FanDuel is giving all customers the chance to take a swing at $500,000 in bonus bets every day from March 27th through the 30th. That's Thursday through Sunday. It's all part of the $500,000 daily home run jackpot. Just use your jackpot profit boost on a player to homer, Shohei Ohtani. $500,000. That's right. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Must apply profit boost token on select market. Prize pool to be split equally among all eligible participants who made the correct pick. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. North Carolina needs more than 12,000 RNs and 5,000 LPNs over the next decade to meet the demands of its aging and growing population. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with NC Healthcare Association President and CEO Josh Dobson to learn more about the need and where you or someone you know might fit in.
The people who work in hospitals and healthcare facilities, they really are the backbone of our communities. They are the ones providing care. They ensure quality treatment and making a difference in patients' lives every day. That's why it's so crucial to not only celebrate their work, but also encourage the next generation to step into these roles.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Every day, people battling addiction suffer in silence. Because of stigma, they fear judgment. They fear being labeled, and too often, they don't get the help they need. But you can help change that. Join the Governor's Institute and be a superhero in the overdose battle campaign. Learn how to break the stigma, support those in need, and save lives. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero to get involved. Be a hero, fight stigma, save a life.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
We had lightning hit a pretty large tree.
Oh, yeah.
About 150 yards from the house. It'll be my sign to go win the lottery. But you know what? I'm sorry, I can't. I have rules. If it's not over $1 billion, I'm not playing.
Yeah, still just millions.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. We're going to give it another shot with Will Brinson coming up at top of the hour, correct?
We're hoping. We're keeping our fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed?
That's the goal. That's the goal.
We have a fingers crossed emoji. I use it often.
Oh, I do too. The pray emoji, the fingers crossed, all of it.
See, I use the two hands together. I use that as thank you.
I do too. I feel like I use it for multiple things.
I use that as a thank you. I don't use it as a like a prayer emoji because I think there are others.
Yes.
But I use that as a thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Real quick, something I have neglected to mention today, but need to bring up, and I apologize for waiting this long to bring it up. Elliot Cadeau entered the transfer portal from UNC. We were talking about UNC's roster, and we talked about it a few times already this week. And this is where I believe that we have to be honest about Carolina as a team. My opinion, I mean, reasonable people can disagree. Elliot Cadeau was an incomplete point guard to be an elite team at this level unless the players around you are significantly better. If you've got 4 awesome players around Elliot Cadeau, Cadeau can be your point guard because he's great driving, but he's no good defensively, and he's not a shooter. But he is an excellent passer, and he's a good driver even without having the ability to really shoot the ball. But Carolina didn't have that team, so he becomes very much of an imperfect player for them. My real criticism of Cadeau has been, over these 2 years, is that in terms of his steadiness as a point guard, he is what I would call the opposite of Kendall Marshall. Marshall was always in control of the game and of his emotions. Elliot Cadeau doesn't have control of either of those things. When things are going well, he does. But man, Cadeau can just kind of go, he's kind of like short circuit on the court way too often. Now that he'll get that with maturity, I think those things will smooth out. I hope wherever he goes that all of these things do happen because he has a high end. I would love to see him get it. Ideally, he would get it here because I'd like to watch him play his whole career. I think he's a good player, really good. But for me, this North Carolina team needed better at that position that he was capable of giving on a consistent basis. There are nights where, hey, like I thought when they beat San Diego State, his 3, I mean, I know this sounds crazy. I thought his 3 might have ended the game. Like, oh, what, that guy's going to knock down a 3 on your first possession? All right, it's going to be one of those games. But he just wasn't that consistently enough this year. I said the same thing about Van Allen Lubin. He needs to be a reserve player. I thought that about Jalen Withers. He's a reserve player. Who are your best players? R.J. Davis, Drake Powell, who eventually became one of those, Ian Jackson, who's also sort of, he's not a complete player. He's like half a player. Defense, not that into it. But offense and shooting, yeah, very much so. Like to see him drive more. I think Drake Powell is the better player, than Ian Jackson. I think he showed that over the course of the season, his improvement, both ends of the floor. But that's the way I looked at North Carolina's team, just not good enough. All right, let's stretch.
Okay, so have you ever heard, there's a new term, because, we got to have a term for everything nowadays, a new term called boomer asking.
No. Okay. I like it, though.
I know. And it has nothing to do with baby boomers, even though it sounds like it does. Nothing to do with baby boomers. So, boomer asking is when you ask someone a question just so you can talk about yourself.
Really?
It comes around like a boomerang.
Oh, I get it. I like it.
Yeah, when you want to ask a question to talk about yourself, it's like a boomerang. So, common example of this is when someone will ask, did you do anything fun over the weekend? It might be rooted because they just want to talk about the fun things they did over the weekend. There's also other terms that are similar to this that came out a few years ago, even though I've never heard people actually use this in a sentence. But ask bragging, like how was your vacation? Mine was great. Ask complaining, how's work? Oh, today stinks. That kind of thing. Or ask sharing. So you're like, ask bragging.
Nice.
When you ask about something random, that way you can throw your random stuff out there. Yeah, so if you see somebody drop some kind of boomer asking question, now you know that there's a term for it.
I dig it.
Didn't realize there was a term for it, but there you go. Learn something new every day. You know what else we might learn? Maybe there's a good bet out there.
Maybe.
Place your bets. Here. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you one.
I don't think I did very well yesterday. I had the Hurricanes minus a goal and a half and over 6.5, and neither of those things happened.
Yeah, no. I wanted Jankowski to be an anytime goal scorer just for giggles. But
yeah, Rod gave him a chance in the late in the third period.
Yeah.
He played him between Hall and Roslovic. It didn't work.
No, it didn't work. Well, the one and only that I'll probably have for tonight, the New Jersey Devils, they're going to be in Chicago taking on the Blackhawks. Give me the at-home underdog Blackhawks. Why not? Because I also like to see the Devils lose. So just Blackhawks outright plus 185.
I like that. I like that a lot. I also like Edmonton to beat Dallas, but it's only plus 110. I'm going to give you a winner at the PGA Tour event in Houston. Wyndham Clark plus 330. I'm sorry, plus 3,300. That's even better.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And like everybody else, our brackets are a wasteland. So what are we doing? We are reinvesting. And if you are a new customer to FanDuel, you can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And then you use their money to replenish the coffers. By the way, Alabama and BYU, the total for that game on Thursday night, 175.5. That's going to be fun. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Let's play ball. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Do you ever go to the Carolina Hurricanes games and find yourself thinking, what do the players eat before the game? What are their pregame rituals? What kind of music gets them pumped up ahead of the game? How sacred is the game day nap? What's the postgame mood on the team plane? Check out my new podcast, Iced Tea, with me, Megan LaMontagne. I get to talk to people who spill the tea on the Carolina Hurricanes. Listen to Iced Tea in any podcast app or watch the show on the Fan YouTube channel.
Hello, Scott Forbes, head baseball coach, University of North Carolina. When it comes to choosing a dealership, I stick with Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. Growing up in Sanford, I've been fortunate to be lifelong friends with Will Wilkinson. My family and I have been buying and having our vehicles serviced at Wilkinson for many, many years. Great service, competitive prices, and most importantly, a place you can trust. Go where I go. Go see my longtime friend Will Wilkinson at Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
When it comes to mixing drugs, you may think you have a safe approach, but the bottom line is, mixing drugs is never safe. It can cause serious health problems like a heart attack or brain damage. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I just couldn't be more excited. You know, our time is right now. Our time is right now. This is the first time in a while, I think, the fans, the administration, and the program, we're all on one accord. And everybody's on the same accord. Everybody's singing from the same sheet of music. And when that happens at NC State, it's going to be a reckoning for the ACC. And it's going to be a reckoning for college basketball. And it's coming. And it's coming soon.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Later this hour, we've already talked about it with Chip Patterson. I talked about it in the first hour. We're going to examine the disappearing Cinderella, or is it really even disappearing? Because my contention is that it isn't. Whether it's listening to Stephen A. Smith or Jay Williams on ESPN or reading this and that all over the place, NIL, transfer portal, certainly the rules are different. Jay Williams' opinion that we used yesterday and what I heard on Monday, I thought that actually made most sense because it wasn't an absolute. Like, I think it'll be rare. But I would submit that Cinderella beyond the first round already is rare. If you consider what Cinderella is in college basketball, if you come from a power league, you're not Cinderella. If you are in a traditional 1 or 2 bid league, or 1 bid league with the occasional 2 bid, then yeah, you can be a Cinderella as long as you're a, low seed. So when Butler, in like the first year, even Butler was a pretty high seed when Duke beat him in 2010. And then they got back the next year. So, for instance, Loyola of Chicago, they go to the Final Four as an 11 seed. I think the following year they were a 6. Doesn't really qualify you as a Cinderella at that point. Obviously, everybody thought you were good for whatever reason. Players, mostly. So, how we define Cinderella matters. And then we determine, okay, how long did Cinderella last and all that? So I went back in the last, and we'll talk about this with Matt Brown. Not as many Cinderellas as you think lasted long enough to impact the second week. That is simply the reality of college basketball. And while the first week is absolutely about the little guys, second week isn't. Never has been, never will be. I've said this for years and years and years. The NCAA tournament is two different events. The first week is the romance. And once we get to week 2, now we are crowning a national champion. And that's really all we care about. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see Cinderella in the college football playoff. Nobody wants to see that. All we want to see is the best teams playing. I would argue in football, the best teams, the teams that truly have a chance to win a title, those teams don't generally lose to anything that resembles a Cinderella. So anyway, I'm not in no way do I believe that we are losing Cinderella here, because I'm not sure we've had Cinderella as often as you think, or not as you think, as the national media is portraying us to have Cinderella. In the last decade, going back to 2015, we have had 3 teams that fit my criteria reach the second week. 3. That's it. And that's where we are. Coming up later on this hour, Matt Brown from Extra Points, who covers like the behind-the-scenes part of college sports. All of the stuff we talk about with NIL and things like that, and the things that maybe enable Cinderella to happen. At least nowadays, the money of it all. We will talk with him coming up in a little bit. Also, Sean Nahas, who is the coach of the North Carolina Courage. We will talk with him about how things are going so far. By the way, we are entering the home stretch in the European leagues, and it was not a great week for the U.S. men's national team. No. No bueno. Will sounds clear. Okay, here's what we're going to... We only have a few minutes with Will, but that's fine. Will Brinson, we're going to try it one more time. CBSSports.com. I was told it sounds clear. It wasn't great before, but I think that was our fault. Will, are you there?
I am here, and as I was trying to say before, there's a reckoning coming for my AirPods, just like the ACC and Will Wade. Anyway, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, the Giants.
All right, so now let me just reset. And this is going to be frighteningly short, but that's okay because we've had so many things to jump through today, and you're a mensch for even sticking around. You must have nothing better to do, Will, and I apologize for that.
Anything for you, Adam.
No, stop it. So, what are the Giants doing? Jameis Winston is enough by himself. Why do they need Jameis and Russell Wilson?
Well, I mean, the thing to me, I would say one, and I was trying to get to this earlier, but I think the addition of Russell Wilson means that it's possible that Jameis Winston, is in a lock for the roster, which I think is crazy because, if you're gonna YOLO it with Jameis and then draft somebody. I think the issue here is that if they draft somebody at the top of the draft, then I think there's a really good chance that one of these guys doesn't ends up not being a factor in the plans. But if you don't draft anybody, you're running the risk of Russell Wilson and or Jameis Winston being what you have to rely on for 2025 in a season where it's been made very clear by ownership and mandated, that the front office and the coaching staff wins. And the Giants have the lowest win total in the entire league.
3.5.
Because, as good as their defensive line was for stretches last year, there's just major questions on offense when you're trying out Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. So I don't think we can know exactly what they're doing until they, show us what they're going to do in the draft. But there's a reason why the win total didn't move it like even a half game when they signed Russell Wilson. I mean, he looked lost.
Here's what's funny to me is that, like, I understood what the Steelers are doing. To me, Fields was, hey, who knows what could happen here? We might have something going forward. And who knows what the future of Justin Fields is with the Jets in New York. But I got what the Steelers are doing, and that Russ was, I know he was injured. We, gonna give him some time, and Russ would be the security blanket, the seasoned vet. All right, if it's not going to work with Fields, then we can make it work with Russ. I don't even understand the rationale for both Winston and Wilson, because to me, we know what Jameis Winston is. He's a total wild card. But if you can get
week to week,
right,
week to week, total play to play, total wild
quarter to quarter, right? If you could get good Jameis Winston, hey man, he might be able to win you a few games. But I don't think the plan is for the Giants to win a bunch of games this year, given what they're working with. I thought it was always going to be a bridge to whatever's next. So I just don't get Wilson. Here's what it says to me though. This is not about the Giants. What's left for Aaron Rodgers? The Giants have been eliminated as a possibility. It's only the Steelers. We talked to Brooke Pryor about this. She assumes that Steelers and Aaron Rodgers will happen. I just don't know when. She doesn't know when.
There's a theory out there that the Steelers and Rodgers have some kind of handshake deal already in place, and that he's going to announce it on. And I don't think he didn't do, maybe he did McAfee. There's some McAfee event that he was going to announce it at. But, I mean, it does feel like the Giants moving on to Russell Wilson. And remember, before they signed Jameis, they only had Tommy DeVito in their quarterback room on their roster. That's a problem. The Giants moving on to Russ and sort of picking up, just the absolute bare minimum scraps that are left over on the table. I think when they did that, it was a clear-cut sign that it had been sort of communicated through back channels that the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers kind of had something in place. And so it's probably just a matter of him coming back from the ayahuasca Egyptian pyramid discovery, finding out what's underneath the pyramids, 2,000 kilometers deep, returning from that journey. And then, you just get something in place and you go with it there. I've been telling you for weeks, I think it makes sense. I think it's a logical move. I don't know if it's necessarily going to work out great, but I feel much better, even independent of the improved, the roster is much better for the Steelers, but I feel much better about the Steelers quarterback situation than I do the Giants.
With Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, I think Rodgers is a done deal.
Oh no, yeah. Oh, okay, I see. I see. Look, that's fine. I think it's going to end poorly in Pittsburgh. I think the Steelers' offensive line / running game isn't good enough to give Rodgers enough time to be good. I think the Jets, the offensive line was sort of an issue for them. They didn't run the ball consistently well, blah, blah, blah. I think the Steelers' offense is no good, and I think he will not make it better because he's no good.
It's entirely possible that both Rodgers and Russell are
finished,
are completely washed.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think if I'm looking at a team though, where all right, you got to win with your defense, you got to win with running the football, you got to find ways to outcoach the other, your opponent and steal some wins and get into the playoffs. The win total says it all, right? I mean, the Steelers are a much more likely team to do that with Aaron Rodgers than the Giants are with Russell Wilson. And I realize we're arguing.
No, you're right. You're right. But to what level can the Steelers really win with this version of Aaron Rodgers? And I would argue that, if they went 10-7, I would be surprised. I think they are more likely, a ceiling of 9-8, which Mike Tomlin would likely get them to because he's brilliant. But having watched Rodgers this year because they were on television so much, he is all over the place. If they get Aaron Rodgers from last year, then the ceiling is absolutely capped, and he's going to lose some games for him, and they can make it to the playoffs and be a wild card team, but they're not going to be better than certainly the Ravens, maybe the Bengals, depending on what they can fashion on defense. But yeah, I mean they're a middle of the pack, AFC team that can make it to the wild card, sort of on smoke and mirrors a little bit on defense and running the football. If he pulls a Favre and I realize you correctly argued that Favre was decent with the Jets until he got hurt, but if he pulls a Favre and goes to that next team after the Jets and suddenly is just great again, then the Steelers have some legitimate upside. I thought I actually, as we have to say goodbye here, I actually think if he ends up with the Vikings, which it doesn't appear that they want any part of him, I think he would have a better chance with the Vikings because they have a better team and they clearly have a better offensive-minded coach than they've got in Pittsburgh. Will Brinson, you're a gentleman. Whatever you did, you fixed it. Thank you very much for repairing. We'll call you Schneider, and we'll hook up again next week. All right, buddy. Talk to you next week. All right, man. When we come back, Sean Nahas is the head coach of the North Carolina Courage, 0-1-1. We'll discuss where they are just 2 games into the season. We'll do that next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
NC State basketball got their guy, Will Wade. He was number 1A on their wish list. He's coming off a win with McNeese State in the NCAA tournament, and all of that is nice, the sizzle, the buzz, it's great. But so much of it is still going to come down to the same thing. Does he have the NIL money to get the players on campus?
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing. Made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
So, you found the one and want to get married? Next step, you need the ring. And not just any ring, the perfect engagement sparkle that exemplifies your love. Bailey's Fine Jewelry is here to help. Our diamond experts, wide selection of high-quality diamonds, and financing make saying I do easy. We guarantee you'll love the ring or your money back. You're invited to see why Bailey's has been voted best place to buy your diamonds. Visit us today in-store or at baileybox.com to find out more.
See if you're a winner every night.
Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news.
Join the Candy Crush All-Stars tournament now.
Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play.
Make it to the live final for your chance to win a share of $1 million. Play Candy Crush now.
Get your game on, go play.
Selected level 5 plus 18 plus. In-game event ends 0300 EDT 27 April. Win the in-game event. Receive an invite to the live contest in June in California. Requires U.S. travel. For terms and conditions, visit 2.king.com/terms.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. We're going to talk to Sean Nahas in a moment. He is the head coach of NC Courage. They are 0-1-1 on the year, and we will get hooked up with him in just a second. This is a franchise that, man, you don't have to go back that long where they were the gold standard in the NWSL. And then for various reasons that we don't have to get into, things went the other way. And now they're going through a little bit of a transition. They're going through a little bit of a transition in terms of, like, Lynn Williams led the team in scoring forever. And then you had players like Debinha, one of the, a Brazilian legend, and Caroline. And these are world-class players. And so they're transitioning out of that into a younger group. They brought in some new players as well. We'll talk about the transition. I also want Coach Nahas's thoughts on the potential for promotion and relegation in U.S. soccer. Because that's, whether it's coming at the highest level or not, I don't know. But I have been told for years that that is the trick. That is what U.S. soccer needs in order to become competitive. And I haven't figured out why that's the case because nobody has been able to say it other than because, which might be the right answer. I don't know. Sean Nahas is the head coach of the North Carolina Courage, and he joins us on the Adam Gold Show Saturday. They will fly in across country to take on the Portland Thorns. That'll be a 10 o'clock local match. Coach, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Hey, pleasure is ours. Big picture, we've played twice already. Give me an idea of what you have seen. I know it didn't go, the way you wanted it to go this weekend against Seattle here at home. But where are you as a group through 2 matches?
Yeah, I think it's we're a little bit inconsistent. I think, but that's normal for this time of year. The way the style that we play, it takes time to get into a rhythm, and I think the last 20 minutes showed really what we're capable of, and just getting, if we can have that mentality and that approach from the first whistle, then obviously things will start clicking a lot sooner. But new pieces, and it takes time to evolve it. So we're okay. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
You also, over the last, I mentioned this before we brought you in, over the last several years, there has been some of your best, offensive players have been more veteran players, world-class international players. Yeah. In some ways, you're transitioning out of that to younger players. How hard is it for these younger players to kind of get acclimated to the professional game at this level?
Yeah, it's difficult, especially in this league, which is extremely competitive and athletic. And, I think, we're starting, we have 5 20-year-old players on the roster, and they could be top world-class players, but it takes some time and to get really deep down into the intricacies of how we want to play. So the detail, the timing and all that. So again, a new face, ability to stretch lines, the ability to open up pockets of space. So these young players are hearing a lot of things for the first time, and going from youth football to pro football is 2 different worlds, and the speed of play and the intensity at which things are done. And, we're just trying to incorporate slowly little things that they can improve on so that they can continue to grow and develop.
Sean Nahas is the head coach of North Carolina Courage. Again, they'll be in Portland coming up on Saturday night. Tell people what they can expect. I'm not necessarily saying, this week, this month, this year, but in the future for like a Jaden Shaw.
Yeah, look, Jaden's one of the top players in the world at 20 years old, right? And, really tidy on the ball. And I think with her ability to see things beyond the lines, her ability to break a final pass, her ability to work in tight spaces, she's one of the best I've had the ability to coach. And I've known Jay for a while. I think it's just getting into a rhythm with us and understanding and letting her be a little bit rather than pigeonholing her in certain areas. But she has the potential to be, one of the top players regardless of age. But we want to layer that in and not. We want to temper those expectations as well for such a young kid. Not put the pressure on her, and that's what I've tried to do. She puts innate pressure on herself, but she's a special quality, and we're thrilled to have her here.
Sean Nahas, the North Carolina Courage head coach. Again, they'll be in Portland coming up Saturday night. I asked this of a couple of weeks ago. I'm just curious your thoughts, because for over the last several years, the European leagues have started to invest heavily in players. There's we're starting to see more of a trickle of the U.S. stars go play there, and I know there are players coming back the other way. A lot of the younger players are coming this way. Where is the NWSL in relation to like the Women's Super League overseas?
Look, I've said it before. I think the NWSL is the most competitive league in the world. I think top to bottom, anyone could beat anybody on any given day and compete for a playoff spot in most years. And the talent level in the country is quite vast. I think it's the biggest thing that we'll have to continue to develop and build is the youth side of it. Whereas teams overseas, they have academies already in place where they can develop players through their structure and their style of play. So they're coming through the ranks, and I think that's going to be an important piece for women's football in our country to create academy structure so that, the investment's happening within. Because the way I look at it is if you're not going to invest and you're not going to develop players here in your own areas, in your own countries, then you're going to be paying a lot more to bring players over. So at the end of the day, you want top quality here, but there's also ways you can do it by developing. We've proven that in our environment. But yeah, I think the investment piece is important, which you could start to see more of happening in the women's game across the world. I think the key thing is the development piece and the structure you have. You got to get players in. Right now, guys, a lot of players are coming from college, so they're coming from a different style of play. And when they come in, it takes a year to adjust. So you're losing a year really. Whereas if you're bringing kids through an academy structure, you already know who's the top player. You can bring them into your pro side. You can invest in them from the get-go, and they're yours. And that, to me, there's nothing greater than that.
Does it bother you when you hear a Trinity Rodman say that at some point I'm going to go to Europe?
No, because I think she's done a lot here, and when that happens, I think time will tell if that even happens. I think someone like Trin is. You have those opportunities. The Champions League is obviously a draw for a lot of players. But I think at the end of the day, these players have choices now, right? And that's what we've all been pushing for. And the fact that they have these choices, it's their career. They have every right to do what they want. We want to keep top talent in our league. But it's no different than, I have an opportunity, someone that's in the corporate world has an opportunity to go get another job. That may be better for them, but no one's questioning that, right? So, yeah, you would hate to lose someone like that. I hope and think she'll stay. But again, that goes to show you guys that because the investment's the way it is, that you got to stay ahead of the game a little bit.
Yeah, and the fact is, if she wasn't such a great player, there wouldn't be that interest as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's just so good. All right, this is a big picture question about the sport. Sean Nahas, North Carolina Courage head coach. I wanted to ask you this last week because there was a story that had come out. Is that there are in the works plans for USL promotion and relegation?
Yeah,
and I have people like I'm a huge fan of the sport, enormous fan of the sport, and I'm a fan of the European game. I'm a Liverpool fan. Whatever, who cares about what they're doing now? But that's the league that I really, really follow closely, and I understand promotion and relegation. What I don't understand is that people here insist that is the next step for U.S.-based soccer leagues to take the next step competitively. Is it an important component of U.S. soccer to have leagues that are in that same structure where there is promotion and relegation?
I mean, no other sport in our country has it, right? I mean, I think it's. I understand the dynamics of it, the investment piece. I understand it drives standards up and it forces clubs and programs to increase the investment to make sure that they're staying up. So I think that's part of it too. But I also look at it as it's just the biggest thing I've always had questions about is why are we all so competitive against each other when we should all just be trying to make it the best sport we possibly can in our country? And I think that's something that do I understand? Look, when you guys watch European football and you watch at the end of the season the promotion and relegation games, those are more intense than any team. Yeah. Like a team just staying up because they're finished in like 5th place, but they're still staying up. Like that, those celebrations are ridiculous. You watch Premier League and the bottom team is out of the relegation zone and they get to stay in the Premier League. Those celebrations are sometimes bigger than, so there's something to be said about it.
Yeah.
Because and the other thing I would say that we were talking about this as a staff as well the other day is it's their life over there.
Yeah.
They're fanatical. Here, we're not as fanatical in many ways. So certain regions and certain areas are, but I think they live and die by it, so they're invested in every little pass. So do I think that's the best route to go? I don't think so, but I understand it. But I also don't think we should be doing it just because others are doing it. It's well established over there, and it's a different model than here potentially.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult to tell an owner who invested, I'll just use David Tepper as an example.
Yeah.
You paid whatever it is, $300 million to get your team to get a franchise in Charlotte. Oh, by the way, you finished 17th, so now you're playing in MLS 2. It'd be very difficult. They would have to know that going in. I don't know. I don't even know how you would do it. I think it would discourage some people from investing.
I think so, but I also think it would force them. It would force owners to potentially have to say, all right, well, we got to figure out how we're going to invest more to make sure we're staying up. Because look, if you get bumped up in the Premier League, you get a balloon payment to stay up there. So. And vice versa. So I think there's definitely pluses and minuses to it. I don't think you can copy and paste it though. That's probably the biggest thing. If you're going to do it, are you going to do it uniquely to the setup in our country? Because USL and Premier League are two different investment worlds, right? So it's night and day. So MLS is growing. The attendances are up. The level of football is up. More European players are coming up or into the league. They're doing just fine, and I think at the end of the day, it's taken them many years to get here, but it's not something that happened overnight. But there's definitely positives to what the MLS have done as well.
Yeah, let the Premier League or La Liga let them do playoffs. Yeah. Let them do playoffs. Yeah. Let them copy us first. Sean Nahas, the North Carolina Courage head coach. Good luck against Portland. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. Sean Nahas here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, when we come back, Matt Brown from Extra Points on the death of Cinderella or not. Next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And are you ready for relatable topics? That's right. My bracket stinks. So does yours. So new customers at FanDuel can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins, $200 extra bucks to bet on anything from clutch shots to last-second heartbreaks, even who's cutting down the nets. Hey, you can get in whenever you like. If you have been waiting to join, no better time. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. FanDuel.com/AGS. Let's do it. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. North Carolina needs more than 12,000 RNs and 5,000 LPNs over the next decade to meet the demands of its aging and growing population. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with NC Healthcare Association President and CEO Josh Dobson to learn more about the need and where you or someone you know might fit in.
The people who work in hospitals and healthcare facilities, they really are the backbone of our communities. They are the ones providing care. They ensure quality treatment and making a difference in patients' lives every day. That's why it's so crucial to not only celebrate their work, but also encourage the next generation to step into these roles.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Do you know someone who's lost a loved one to overdose? Every day, the disease of addiction is taking lives and devastating families. But this crisis is preventable. Join the Governor's Institute in the Be a Superhero in the Overdose Battle campaign. Together, we can spread awareness, fight stigma, and save lives. Learn the signs of overdose. Know how to help. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero today, because doing nothing shouldn't be an option. Be a hero. Take action. Save a life.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
One Adam Gold. One Adam Gold.
If Andrei Svechnikov watched Eric Cole highlight tapes and cause chaos.
Hey, hashtag, you didn't even mean to do that, did you?
I didn't. Well, that's the old one.
I know, but
right?
It's still relevant.
Now we're raising up. Maybe we should go back to cause
I know, we
chaos.
need to go back to causing chaos.
This is interesting. I did kind of subconsciously bring that out.
The Adam Gold Show.
I have heard that Cinderella is dead. I kind of disagree, but it all depends, A, on what your definition of Cinderella is and what your definition of dead is. It might be mostly dead, and it only needs to go see Miracle Max for that chocolate-coated pill that will bring the Dread Pirate Roberts back to life. Matt Brown, Extra Points, is joining us here. I love working in Princess Bride references whenever I can. At Matt Brown EP on Twitter. First of all, sir, it's been too long. Have you recovered from all your travels?
I have. It's funny listening to there. I do feel like the rodents of unusual size would make a great, Big South mascot. That definitely feels like a mascot that America adopts because they're the 14th seed that won a game, right?
I would love that. We need more originality in mascots. I dig terriers. We need other dogs. I need others. Gotta be dogs. I have a corgi and I have a Weimaraner, and they feel kind of left out. So maybe we can work that in. All right, let me ask you that broad question, and then we'll get into something I think you put out about revenue a couple of days ago that I think is very important. Because now all I've heard for the last 3 days is that Cinderella is dead in the NCAA tournament. That's really what we're talking about here, Matt Brown from Extra Points. So tell me, do you think Cinderella is dead?
I don't think Cinderella's dead. It's easy for us to fall into this trap, I think, where we just dramatically overreact to whatever is happening in this one moment. I know, perish the thought, right, in sports media of us overreacting.
Right.
I don't know if we still have this conversation if Derek Queen misses a fadeaway bank shot and Colorado State goes to Sweet 16.
Right.
I don't know if we're having this conversation if Drake had gotten just a couple more breaks and advanced there. I understand why there's the narrative, and it's not just because we have a ridiculously chalky and consolidated Sweet 16 this year.
Right.
But one of the typical hallmarks for a low-major Cinderella run is experience. Where you would have a team of junior and senior future dentists and insurance agents, run off some freshman All-Americans off the floor. It's much, much harder to build that roster now because if they're really good by the time they're seniors, they're transferring somewhere else and getting a bag. So you might have to have a roster built a little bit differently. But I'm not ready to say that it's dead, even though we've had 2 chalk-ish years in a row.
Yeah, it's funny. We overreact to stuff that Stephen A. Smith says when he parachutes in just for the NCAA tournament, because for him, the entire college basketball universe centers around 3 weeks in March into April. Matt Brown from Extra Points is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I did this kind of research, this very rudimentary research. First of all, you can't be a Cinderella if you're in a power league. So NC State was an 11 seed last year. Sorry, not buying them as a Cinderella from the ACC, even though they were actually a Cinderella because they weren't going to be an NCAA tournament team until winning the ACC tournament, and even that had some miracle elements to it.
Yeah.
But in the last 9 tournaments, so going back to 2015, we have had 34 what would traditionally be considered 1, maybe 2 bid leagues, double-digit seeds, win a first-round game. Do you know how many of those teams won a second-round game to get to the Sweet 16? 3. So the fact that we don't have, quote-unquote, Cinderella in the Sweet 16 is normal. It's not egregious. It's normal. We've only had 3 of those schools. I have a hard time even counting Florida Atlantic, who was a 9 seed. We all knew they were good, and they got some bracket luck and ended up in the Final Four. But even if we added that, we're still talking about 4. So I think we over-exaggerate just how often that happens.
I think you're right. What makes this year stick out is that it isn't just that there's no double-digit seed, right? It's that I think everybody's a member of just 4 conferences.
That's it.
And that is unusual. You would expect to maybe have a Gonzaga or a Big East team or a St. Mary's that was a 9 seed. That's unusual, but this is. I feel like I've written variations of this column several times over the last decade. It's a single elimination tournament, and college basketball has a high degree of randomness.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get years like this, and maybe the field is tilted more towards the SEC and Big Ten than it was 5 or 6 years ago. But I'm not ready to definitively write anything is dead, knowing that next year could look very, very different.
All right, so now to what you wrote about revenue. How can we get, And this is not, and because Jay Williams brought up a very good point. He said basically the middle and the lower part of the major conferences now is going to have so much money that they're going to funnel legally through the schools to men's and women's basketball programs. They're going to be able to do that. How can the middle and the top of those 1 or 2 bid conferences, the mid majors, how can they combat that by raising enough money to keep some of their better players from going to big-time programs and just be parts of a team rather than being a focus of a team?
Yeah, and this is really difficult because I think it hinges on 3 things. If you're a Belmont of the world, right, or a High Point or something like that, starts at the very beginning with who you recruit. A lot of basketball recruiting specifically, even more than football recruiting, you talk to any coach, is that it's become very transactional. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to avoid that completely. But if you're trying to build a Cinderella type team, you're going to need people that are willing to maybe redshirt, that are willing to be coached and willing to stick around on campus a little bit. And you kind of get a sense for what's important to people. And maybe you have to look for somebody a little bit more academically oriented or who doesn't need the money as badly. That you can stick around, and then you have to build a place that people actually like. This is true in all of our lives. Right. When we were picking our own undergraduate colleges, it comes up in our own career. We don't always take the place that offers us the most money because quality of life and location and friendships and all those other things matter too. You just need to be within shouting distance and be a place that people enjoy being around and where they feel like they can accomplish their goals. And then you have to make enough money to be able to distribute enough money. And this, I think, is kind of the interesting thing because we don't have enough hard and fast data about it. But if you're Georgia or if you're UNC or you're some major A4 program, you've got the $20-ish million in house money, but you can't spend all of that on men's basketball because you have to spend more than half of it easily on your football team.
No question.
Doesn't matter how much of a basketball school you are. You're going to have to share this amongst other programs. There's going to be some schools in this market that are going to have to spend money on baseball or on some other places. Yeah. Whereas if you're in the A10 or if you're in the SoCon and you're opting in or something and you might only have $3 million, you could put a disproportionate percentage of that in basketball to where your actual budget might not be that different. You just have to have, I think, a pretty aggressive fundraising department. We talked about a couple of those specific ideas and extra points, whether that's starting a venture fund and essentially backing some student software projects like Louisiana Tech is doing to help pay for their GM software, whether that's getting into the newsletter business like I am and creating new sponsorship inventory to be sold, whether that's being way more aggressive about trying to book your arena. After I wrote that, I had a guy at Colorado State call me up and said, we used ours for prom. And we laughed like no one's going to get rich booking their arena for one prom. But you get 30 proms, and that's 10th man money. And then you start looking at other things, right? Like you want to have your basketball arena booked a third of the year if you can, and to start giving you more revenue because there's only so many tickets you can sell if you're George Mason.
Yeah, Matt Brown, Extra Points, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All of that stuff is true. I know, we had Beyonce here at NC State not that long ago. The Rolling Stones were at NC State. U2. Was it U2? I think it was U2. Was at NC State as well. Hey, I saw
Springsteen there once.
I saw Springsteen in Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill. I saw the Rolling Stones at Carter Finley Stadium on NC State's campus and at Wallace Wade at Duke. As a matter of fact, I sat next to, at that time, Duke assistant basketball coach Steve Wojciechowski, who sat right next to him randomly. I'm like, holy cow, look who's here. We had an absolute blast. Would collective bargaining help? And by the way, people need to know, NIL, like the collectives, are still going to be part of this whole thing too, right?
Yeah, but to the extent that there's still a lot of unanswered questions about that, because the way that the House settlement is structured, assuming this thing gets approved in 2.5-3 weeks, is that collectives can still exist and athletes can still do deals over the cap, right? But they have to be tied to fair market value, which means that hypothetically, you're not going to be able to get a bunch of donors to pay a left tackle $100,000 to sign 3 autographs anymore. Now, Whether that thing is going to be stand up to other legal challenges,
no,
and whether there's going to be enough infrastructure to enforce it, I don't know. And I think anybody that tells you that they know is probably trying to sell you some software.
I would probably just say it's probably not going to be enforceable because the NCAA has done a poor job of that historically. Yeah. I also will say this definitively: collective bargaining would help the schools at least as much as it would help the athletes, but they don't want to go that route, and I still can't wrap my mind around that. All right, something you wrote today, because time is short. I want to be able to get this in. St. Francis, who just got, last-second buzzer beaten in the first four by Alabama State, St. Francis of Pennsylvania, is reclassifying back to Division III. They didn't want to play this game anymore, and I get it. And there's a lot of schools, I think, that would like to do that for various reasons. Maybe won't because of the image. First of all, what do you think St. Francis went through? And how many other programs, especially in basketball, that don't have football ties, or schools that do have football that maybe don't want to play these games? How many schools do you think might do this?
Well, so there's I think both of us off the dome could probably come up with a list of 20 schools that probably should, but you're exactly right. Historically, it's very rare for this to happen because you face such an enormous political hit. And I talked to people at St. Francis yesterday, on the record and off the record, who, big surprise, are saying, the initial response has been pretty negative, right? We're going to lose a lot of students. We're going to lose coaches. There are hundreds of people on this tiny campus that are here because we're Division I. We have a long history at this level. It hurts. There's no way around that. What I can share, though, is there are a number of schools, mostly in the Northeast, but not exclusively. I know a couple in the Southeast and maybe one not too far from here that have very quietly and above the athletic director level had some of those kind of conversations. And now you're at the point where some of these boards are putting out very quiet RFPs to consulting companies to help crunch the numbers and look at it. And it's the biggest reason. Every school is different, but the biggest reason is the cost curve for Division I membership is just going up at a rate that at some point not everybody can swing, especially because higher education is not really in a great place generally. So when you have a lot of these places in the Northeast, it's more expensive. You're recruiting fewer number of students to potentially go to these schools. They're shrinking every year. You could afford to do it in 2007. Now you probably can't afford to do it in 2030. And if you've got a Division II or Division III league that fits your profile, it might make sense. I mean, you don't really think of the NEC as some gigantic, sprawling conference, but St. Francis is making 6-hour bus rides all the time, and you don't go to a middle-of-nowhere school in Loretto, Pennsylvania, to be on the bus until 4 o'clock in the morning. You're going for a holistic liberal arts experience, and it's hard to do that given what D1 is right now.
Matt Brown, Extra Points. He mentioned newsletter. Get it. Because if you are fascinated, as I am, by the inner workings, the financial implications, and everything behind the scenes in college sports, this is the newsletter for you. At Matt Brown EP on Twitter. Sir, we got to do it again because I have 1,000 other questions that we don't have time for today.
All right, we'll hit you up next time then. Thanks for having me.
Matt is awesome.
Yes, very nice.
So it was the second time ever that St. Francis of Pennsylvania had been in the NCAA tournament. They played the first 4 games. It was the first of the first 4 games, and that's where Alabama State inbounded the ball underneath their own basket. It was like 3 seconds left or something like that, and they end up hitting a shot to win it. Got the ball all the way up into the front court and got the ball inside and scored. And, I mean, it was a very exciting end, and unfortunately, St. Francis of Pennsylvania is out. And they are, I think they're in the middle of, it's closer to central Pennsylvania, but they're not like near Harrisburg, or it's just kind of nowhere. That's why I think he started to say East Bum something, right? And then I think Matt self-edited.
Yeah. Yes.
Thankfully.
I live in the same bum.
Right, exactly. We recorded that at about 11:30 today. So here's what I didn't realize then and do realize now. It has been pointed out to me by, I want to get the correct person, Roger, who pointed out that in 2023, Princeton, as a 15 seed, made the second round. I actually had Princeton written and then crossed it out. For whatever reason, I think when I wrote this down, I was whatever. No excuses. But yes, they made it to the Sweet 16. So that is 4 teams in the last 9 tournaments as a legitimate, Cinderella / underdog made it to the Sweet 16. 4 in the last 9 tournaments. And none this year. So, but this is the year that we have declared Cinderella dead. Real quick about it, because I do think it's worth pointing out, because the people who say that Cinderella's dead might be right. We just don't know. And I think it's premature to say that we do know, because we don't. Because next year we could have Cinderellas again. Because last year we had some opportunities. Just didn't happen. We had 5 double-digit seeds from smaller leagues win games in the first round. Just none of them won games in the second round, and yet we had an 11 seed, NC State in the Final Four, and we had Oregon, an 11 seed, get to the Sweet 16. Or no, they lost in the second round, but they were also an 11 seed, is what I'm saying. So we don't have to go back. And 2 years ago, obviously, was Princeton. And the year before that was St. Peter's making it to the to the Elite Eight. Real quick, because I found this part to be fascinating too. The 3 most prominent schools to be the victims of Cinderellas. Virginia. Now remember, Virginia won the national championship in 19. The year before, they lost to a 16 seed. The first ever one to lose to a 16. It has since happened again, as FDU did that to Purdue 2 years ago. But Virginia, Arizona, and Purdue are the 3 most likely major conference programs to have been upset. Purdue has actually been upset 4 times as either a 6 seed or better in the last 9 seasons before this year, which is why I picked against them this year. And I got it wrong, because Purdue did not lose the game. I think I had High Point beating Purdue. Purdue was a 4, High Point was a 13. I had High Point. And it was not a blowout. High Point was in the game. So Purdue 4 times, Arizona and Virginia each 3 times to lose in the first round to a lower conference school. There you go. All right. I guess everybody has the night off. There's really nothing to watch.
I know. There really
We got no local sports, right?
What do we do?
I don't know. I'll read. That's what I'll do. All right, Victoria, thank you very much. Hope everybody has a pleasant Wednesday, and we'll crank it back up tomorrow. Bye.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your